Hi Libras. So what I'm going to do is give you a little preview because I acknowledge some more things after this. After the first part. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. So these two specifically for Libra risings are second and eighth house access. This is your resources and how you other people's resources, other people's money, mental health. It seems as though if you haven't moved on yet, because we've been talking about moving on from something for quite a few months, and if you're still a Libra who, couldn't quite move on, but you're getting all of your ducks in a row, you're fixing your situation, these are two fixed signs. This is also about you voicing what's important to you, you voicing your needs to yourself, which just so happens for some of you to do with your resources and how it's affecting how you show up for yourself, how you show up for your skills, how you show up for what's coming. And you've noticed now, finally, that enough is enough. And if other people are trying to give you unsolicited advice or, get in your way, this is a month where you can honestly, truthfully, in all of the ways, decide wholeheartedly with your confidence, with your beliefs, from what you know, knowing it's all going to change the moment you decide, right? So we're confident, we know what we want, and then we decide, we make the move, and then you're still confident for a while. Then all of a sudden, because you've decided to do this thing and focus in this way and nothing's happening, you think this is you thinking into the future if you haven't moved on yet. And this is for those of you who have moved on and you may be thinking like, okay, well, what do I do? It's not in your mind what you should do. And that's like the hardest thing. This is where we're getting more into the intuition. This is where I am headed. This is where we are headed. I've been saying it for years, but I'm going to say it now more because we are headed there. And where you're headed is through a complete portal and transformation of how you put forth your creativity. What Pluto is having you look back at is any area in your life where your foundations just don't, where they need restructuring, where the belief from what you are deciding tradition means for you, you're deciding who you are, your identity is perhaps shifting through how you vocalize your life and how you communicate in the world and how you're seen in the world. And now this is shifting your foundations. You're like, okay, so where do we have to go look? Where Virgo is that sign where, yeah, they like to tear shit down and rebuild, which is, fine. But this month, you can also pick and choose those parts where you really just want to focus on and notice what happens even through the discomfort. Because the discomfort is like, you don't realize that in true creation, there's a lack of control that happens. There's a lack of direction sometimes. That transformation isn't always very clearly stated. I want you to see this shadow. You can't see it on here. It's so weird. I love light. It's so weird. Okay. So the control you do have is through the medium. It's through what you see, that vision. And if you don't have visions per se, which I'm sure you do, but if you don't, then it's about saying them out loud, talking it through. Just a little, weed for us here. Maybe you decide to talk it through. Maybe you, in order to control it and let it out, you need to move forward in a way where you, again, this is precursing what you feel coming. So right after this moment happens, so probably after like the first week, then you start to feel, okay, like there is a place I can control. This is actually giving light, Virgo season, to what it is you can control. And it's also showing you it's also showing you and providing you, I was just looking at my notes, it's like walking through, I literally wrote down, like walking through releases, like you're releasing and you see yourself releasing and you're continuously deciding to walk through. And on the other side, you may not feel like who you once were, but you're not supposed to. And that's where I think sometimes, it's hard because there's still a part of you that wants to keep this the feeling that you feel in it, whatever it is that you need, that has kept you comfortable. Because it's funny, for you as an air sign, knowing about feelings is important. Sometimes I think you learn about feelings or what someone else is going through, or through a story or through a movie, before then you experience it so you can see. And this is something that is so unique, that even if you see someone else go through their own transformation, it's different than yours. It just is. And you know, and you may have experienced this, like, you know, roughly 10 years ago or so, where Pluto had entered a different part of your house, which was, you know, the communication for Libra risings. And now you can look forward and see things, because now you're not in front of it, you're with it on the ride. You're not behind it either. You're catching up, and you caught up, and you're catching up in the perfect time, so this says. Where then you can experience this tower moment where you can feel through and acknowledge so much of your life, while at the same time creating that life. You can acknowledge what you have had, what you've gone through, and the experiences, while you also create the new experience that's happening. And you're kind of like, okay, that's what actually happens in everyone's transformation. Nobody has this true pause. Like, I'm going to go here and then I'm going to go here. Transformation isn't physical, and it could look physical and it can appear physical, but it's not physical. It's internal. Anyone who's had a physical transformation, I used to fucking love those shows. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I used to love the shows and the movies where the girl transformed, because that's how I felt. Now, growing up, I was mostly like a little tomboy, wanted to be my brothers. I had crushes. My mom cut my hair off as a kid because I wouldn't let her do it. I know that sounds, it was to an extent, and then I ended up cutting my own hair off twice in my life, when I was in 4th grade and then when I was 20-something. So maybe it's just something that was preparing me for my future. I joke about it now and it seems more traumatizing, but I really was just like wild as a kid. Like, meaning I didn't care about being girly, but I liked dolls, right? Like dressing them up, because I wanted to be that. Like, I wanted to be pretty, and I wanted to feel pretty, and I wanted to feel beautiful. And you're like, well, where is this going? Well, Venus is moving into Libra, and you want to feel good, and you want to feel beautiful, and you want to, you know, very soon, right when I put out this reading, right before Venus moves into Libra, and you want to feel good about your choices. And through this transformation, it's almost like, how can I feel good about these choices that I'm making? I'm hearing all these things, and I'm, you know, I want to like react and celebrate, and I feel good, and all of a sudden, and then I feel good, and I'm experiencing this. But for some of you, this is what gives you the opportunity to commit deeper. Because that's where the real work is. It's not about doing. It's like, but are you committed while you're doing all these things? Like, where's your mind? Where are you focused? Are you presently aware of what you're doing? The true commitment is being with yourself every step of the way, and therefore you'll know how to respond in those moments, and the choices that you make can be put on hold for a moment. Mercury is going direct today. Grateful, so happy. This is why I needed to do this reading. For you to enjoy and flourish. The Knight of Wands in reverse with the Knight of Swords and the Four of Cups showing up is a very clear-cut view. I can even feel a difference in my brain just in one frigging day. Mercury retrograde in my brain has been a doozy. I don't know about yours. This is helping sever. We need doubts. But this is helping sever any, like, doubt that exists with the person who you're not anymore. Or lessening the doubt so they're really easily controlled. Because this is you saying yes, this is you going after it, but then you're like, how? You move through, it's moving through the doubt. It's moving through the emotional doubt. This is what's maybe been in the back of your mind. And what's been way too influential on your mind, way too influential on your conscious decisions. because here you are being able to show yourself that through this transformation, that's where the work is truly done. And now that you're moving through it, especially when we get to your season, okay, you're able to recognize that you do move quickly, and that as a sign that moves quickly, you can feel doubtful because you're not at the same pace as other people. Sometimes I think you either feel behind or forward, but then you're always do you have those moments and those friends where you check in and you realize, oh, we're on the same page? Maybe you have people who are truly committed to you in your life. That these resources that you're finding are coming from new contracts, new commitments. This Mercury's gone direct. It's a time to explore that now. That's the control you do have, is the relationships you want to have moving forward that are emotional and money-based. Collaborations. Pisces is going to be in Libra rising's 11th house of community and friends, and the people you associate with in the world is kind of like how I like to see it. I use other people's definitions until I really find what the house means really in the moment. And there's just so much to learn and expand on in astrology. It's amazing. And tarot, it is very much, anything could be a lifelong process, right? And it's until you find your medium, until you find and commit to yourself. You may find it, but you'll never deeply find yourself within it. So the Queen of Wands being clarified by the Five of Swords, and then the Ace of Wands over that 8, and we have Judgment in reverse at the bottom. That's funny. You may find yourself in situations where you see that there was, or the reflection period even, right? And as you make these newer decisions moving forward, as you move differently in the world, you're being shown very clearly and within your body and how you feel in the moment of this Tower moment, when things move fast and all of a sudden, boom, it's all changing. Because you're now validating yourself. Libra, if you have any way of lessening the stimulation and noise around you and finding it in you every day to come to this space where you can talk to yourself and you can allow the thoughts or messages or whatever to pass through you, you sometimes realize how having whomever and whatever seems better than what, because people look a certain way or something's talked up to be something it's not, you realize it actually dulls you. It dulls your intuition. It dulls like the most beautiful gems. Like, yeah, you're able to help and you're able to do things, but these are the gems that really make you, that give you that psychic awareness in the ether, spotting trends, feeling through them, being a trendsetter in many ways, not just it's not just about, sometimes it's being a trendsetter about going a certain way where you think you're following someone else's lead, and then you realize you're not, someone else's and then someone else is following yours. And it's not about having who goes first, it's just you're realizing who you are. And a lot of this, you're being able to see yourself for who you are. You're being able to channel these messages. You're realizing this is a psychic change, that your connection with your psyche has to do with something that's gone on in your body, in a situation that's gone on for way too long, and you knew you needed to get out, and you knew you needed to change that, but you also knew, and you know what you need more now than ever. it's also Mars and Gemini perhaps answering some things for you through the psyche, right? And then this being the season of the nervous system and the psyche, those are things that change together. The more that you're relaxed in your nervous system and able to see yourself as you are, the more you're able to feel, and the more that you commit to a certain way that connects your nervous system. What was is not what is. And allowing your body to see that and feel that is a nervous system change. And for some of you, there are parts of you that are still holding on until this sweeping opening comes into your life, into the moment, where then you realize that this change is deepening your relationship with your psyche. It is completely changing these two. I actually think these nines go specifically with Aquarius, the star card. As you see yourself, they're each cup. I'll put them up here so you see the cups. So in the front, we have you protecting yourself. You thinking this is what protecting yourself is. And behind you, this is where you're thinking or feeling like very fulfilled. And now those fulfillments are pushing out anything that needs to be seen or detoxified. And the one thing that these two guys have in common is that they're both standing in front of the wands and the cups. Standing in front of the creativity and their emotions and their emotional fulfillment and what that looks like moving forward, and what kind of energy are you pouring into these spaces. Remember what I said, you sometimes have felt before or forward, but not always like really in that moment. And now for a lot of you, if your words or your art, your product, your business wasn't getting the attention that you felt it should, or I would ask yourself, like, well, what are you prepared for, right? Have you set your nervous system up for that? Have you seen yourself in that way? Have you experienced or had enough exposure to other people succeeding in this way where it is fulfilling and they're able to not always be in protection mode, but feel free within themselves to create, to be in the place and assimilate with that place, right? And this is also, Aquarius is for Libra risings, is your fifth house of pleasure and romance and creativity and children. And this is also, you could be going back and forth about children. That's okay. You can keep allowing yourself to understand that if there's something deeper underneath that, maybe loosening up the ankles and the structural system. This is also the reproductive system. Maybe you are wanting to have a kid, or you're getting married and having a kid, and it's all, or you're thinking about all of it at once. You know, for some of you, that's what could be overwhelming you. We'll also talk about the like this as a Scorpio card. So if you're deeply committed to a Scorpio, you're both going through, that's what's deepening the change. So if you're getting engaged or married to a Scorpio, or to someone with Scorpio placements or Taurus placements, or that's both of you who have those placements, you've learned about something really important that has made the decision easier for you, and then therefore the work then begins very, very quickly, which means that it's changing. The work looks different. Things move fast, and then all of a sudden you both have doubt. So that's part of the commitment. Committing, doubt, right? Natural. Just natural. And what this is providing for you is your own validation. For those of you who are on your intuitive, are really in this healing your intuition, which means healing your body, because the fascia is the most intuitive part of the body. That's where intuition is held. And if you're stuck in any form in your body, and as someone who's practiced for 12 plus years, I am very qualified to say that you need to move through it maybe in a new way. Maybe there's a different way of using your body, or switching up your routine, or getting into a movement routine that will really help this become more vocalized and more focused, and for you to understand what is happening. And what is happening is that you're becoming and realizing how attached you may be to how you feel about what you're creating, that it's maybe can only get so far. And now the Ace of Cups is saying, hey, cleared by the Judgment, listen, it's all within you. It's all here. You don't need to make this announcement to the world. It's more like, how is this being held up consciously? What is it that you are afraid of? Are you afraid of the judgment? Are you afraid of people not liking it? Are you afraid of whatever it is liking you? How you choose? Well, if this is what brings you pleasure and creativity, who would you tell anyone else in your position that it's up to your opinion and your feeling and your directive? And if there has been an Aquarius in your life, perhaps, that has made you feel less than, or it's somewhere along in your story, what happens when we start going through this healing process is things show up and show us, like, where did it come from? And maybe you've been holding on to some shame. Maybe you've been holding on to something. Maybe you've been very stubborn. The ankles are the neck for the feet. And this eclipse is in Pisces, which is the feet. And we're in Virgo season, which is the hands, the nervous system, the shoulders. And then we have Uranus, which is the cerebral spine, and as well as the ankles and the shins, right? So we have Uranus coming out very strong as well, shaking things up for you, which Uranus is in Taurus, right? So that is in your 9th house for Libra risings. And maybe you're being opened up to more of a system like astrology, or a philosophy that really connects these things for you, and it makes sense for you, and it makes sense that you don't need that kind of speech where you are in that Libra zone where everyone needs to listen or else type thing, or, if you do that in your mind. This is the Ace of Cups saying that if you allow yourself to surrender to this, to let go, to not hold on, to find those places, those vague places that you're holding on, and the more that you let go, the more the structure can be formed with ease. The more you will be seen. 4, clarifying the 4. The more that you actually let go, the more that the worth and what you put into the 4 of Pentacles, and what you've held on to, has just been actually keeping you from the magic of what has already become a possibility in your future. And what this is now, the bottom row, which I love, which was the bottom of the deck, which was so perfectly spelled out for us, is that I love this way of seeing the 5 of Wands, which is underneath the 2, the 10 of Swords, and then the 5 of Wands is like whatever has been going on within your mind and has been retrograding in your mind. And for Libra risings, it was in Virgo and Leo, so your 12th and 11th house. You are seeing how this has affected who you surrounded yourself with, and what those people thought of you and what you think of them. And now it's very clear that you can be who and what kind of people you would like to be perhaps associated with in your future. But also because it will help you grow. But also because you may want to be, and it may become a very clear part of your structure, just looking for the right word, that it's really important that any people that you get and maintain close proximity with also are able to, you're able to share parts of your vision with them in good conscience. You're able to share these parts of you that are vulnerable, because most of the time your ideas have not been seen yet. Most of the time your ideas and your feelings and your perceptions are coming from that future, and the more that you assimilate, the more that you bring this together and it dissolves and you heal your psyche, because you have this very clear healing here to your attachments, which we've been talking about so much, but Uranus is coming in to shake that up regardless. And on each scale you'll have the ability to see, like, well, how much weight do I put in this, and how can it, and then you'll see, like, okay, this is where I can now understand surrender in a way in which where I can bring myself here at any point if I need to. But don't let it become one of those obsessive addictions that you do just to make yourself feel good or comforted in any moment. That is not going to work in the future. You may feel reactive at first to the depth of the change within the mind, because you don't realize how deep it really does go, and all of the what's been going around in there. Especially if this is the Virgo new moon showing you, we're going to use that, the Virgo new moon, which is right around the corner, but it could also be the axis. But the eclipse in Virgo season is also very much revealing to you that this is what's gotten in the way of making a proper plan forward. That this has been a long-held system within you that's kept you from a certain kind of success, whether it be in family structure or work. Or maybe success now is how you choose to work, how you choose to do things. Maybe that's the success. How you choose to associate, how you choose to relate, how you choose to be. Maybe that's where it is. Maybe that's what's showing you, because the Pisces eclipse is in your 6th house of work and health and pets. Say that. And people in your life, and you look and you see on your day-to-day life, right? That's why it's work and day-to-day, because most people go to work day-to-day or do some kind of work. And the work that you are avoiding, perhaps, or just unable to fully acknowledge in a safe way, or scared even of that, you've come to realize that there is a plan and that you've had it all along. And you can see it clearer now that you're moving through the harder parts, the discomfort, the feelings of, being defensive, wanting to react, wanting to do this, wanting to do that, but realizing that if we go back here, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to say, there's only to allow yourself to change at this point. That through Virgo season, there will be moments where you just need to allow. Venus will move into Libra, which will give more ease, and that's where the beauty comes in, right? That's where you can speak to the beauty of it all. And Mars moving into another cardinal sign, it will give you more of a direction, especially Cancer. It's so creative, it's so intuitive. It's like an overhaul, and allows you to really move into this new role and being seen, and what being seen looks like here. Virgo season is helping whatever needs to be brought to light, and by the eclipse on, I think it's the 17th? Yep. By the eclipse on the 17th, which is in an Aries degree, always, I think. It's like that. Right before, just a few days before we start Libra season, which then, we'll wrap up those eclipses in Libra. So you'll feel a completion somewhere, but you'll also feel like you're beginning to change somewhere else, which is just lovely, right? And I think it is for you, because the consistency and that momentum, I think, is going to bring to you a lot more than you may have and could imagine at this point. because you are deciding to finally walk through, and it's not you being pushed, it's a decision. You're at the decision, you're at the point of being pushed, but because you've empowered yourself and brought it into your hands after needing to hear or receive some information, you're glad you waited until you did. You know, some people can't wait until that moment. They can't wait. They need to go. They anticipate. Sometimes when people are like feeling in a rush, like they're going to be late, sometimes it's really like learn to calm down, learn to take a breath and realize that you'll get there when you get there. And a lot of those times, you're not late. You're just so worried about being late that it actually causes you to become late. I know that you'll understand that. My mom's Libra. It also has to do with ADD. If you have ADHD or ADD, it kind of like, it gives you like a boost in those moments. It gives you like something to focus on almost. It's like even addiction to an extent. So you're seeing very clearly too what your vices are, even if it's a vice to a certain way of thinking, because it's kept you, for some reason we think that these certain things keep us at our best, but that's changing. Venus in Virgo has allowed you to see where you've been holding on to some things because it keeps you comfortable, but it doesn't help you work better, because the peace in those places or the calm in those places where you have put clutter, and what's showing up is like if you actually acknowledge them this month, there's a really huge chance of deep healing that could actually save you from some chronic shit and down the line, especially if you need to digest some things that you've been putting off. You may feel like a huge digestion, you know, physically for sure, mentally. I think for most of you it's mental. It's whatever mental weight emotional weight you've held in your brain and needing to relax that part of you, which means that sometimes that means relaxing your feet too. That means relaxing your entire body and then realizing, like, what do you feel when you're doing nothing? Right? What do you feel? What do you see? What's being illuminated to you at this time? You know, there's just so much to heal. But what you're finding is your footing. Your footing on the ground in front of you, how you work, maybe a new opportunity, a deeper commitment, some of you getting engaged or deepening your commitment with your life in general, realizing that really you've been kind of one foot out the door for a while, and maybe there was someone who was trying to test you with that. You know, maybe the universe is bringing you all these different, like, ooh, but wouldn't you like to do or try this? Like, no, I'm actually really focused, universe. Like, this is almost a joke, and then the best one comes forward, and all of a sudden you're questioning and wondering, and all of a sudden your whole path is changed. But that's what makes you so good at change sometimes. It's when you don't allow those things to enter your mind. Yeah, saying no, and I'm not saying like this is another person, right? But entertaining anything is some kind of, I won't say cheating, but it's entertaining even job or whatever. It's, if you're thinking of them in that way, then it could sound really bad. But if you're actually entertaining them for actual, like, oh, this actually may be a better fit for me, this person is actually, you know, that happens sometimes. And I think the work is allowing yourself to be okay with that and not feeling like you have to do anything other than what is important to you right now and for your well-being. And that's what we've learned this past year, is to care for yourself and realize that, you know, you can involve others to an extent, depending. But this has to do with your deep purpose and fulfillment and happiness and how that connects to your psyche. You're going to feel more psychic. You're going to feel so in tune with yourself. Mercury will move into Libra at the end of the month, the 26th. And I think I got my notes confused. Yeah, Mercury moves back into Virgo on the 9th, and on the 26th it moves into Libra, right? Okay, cool. So by Libra season, there's just so much in Libra. You're gonna feel so Libra. So much is moving through your first house or your sun or your moon. And honestly, I think for a lot of you, if you find this place where you're willing to see and willing to keep up with yourself on a day-to-day and not just expect you to feel a certain way or be a certain person because that's been other people's version or identity of you. You know, you can remain that character in their life for sure, but for yourself, waking up and experiencing yourself in this way, when everything then is in Libra, so much will become so clear to you. Okay? Oh my God, so much time. I love you. Yay. We'll see you next month. Don't let this scare you. Be invited into the darkness because that's where you find the best way forward. I promise. And in those moments where you want to quit, don't. Engage. Show up for yourself in a way that no one else has. And that's an order.